Dresses hanging in the wind tonight. Silent witnesses to stories untold. Sisters, mothers, daughters out of sight. Their voices echo, brave and bold. Every face upon the missing wall has a name, a dream, a beating heart. We won't let their memory fall. Each one precious from the start. They matter, every single soul. They matter, we won't let go. Stand up, speak out, don't turn away. Search for justice every day. They matter, and we'll never stop the fight. They matter, every single soul. They matter, we won't let go. Stand up, speak out, don't turn away. Search for justice every day. They matter, and we'll never stop the fight. Indigenous people, strong and free. Women, men, and children too. Your lives have meaning, you belong. We hear your voices call. All lives matter in this sacred space. Every soul within our human race. True seekers, junkies, unite. We are family, we'll make this right. We will stand up and join the fight. Fight on! They matter, every single soul. They matter, we won't let go. Stand together, search as one, until every case is done. They matter, and love will light the way. Red dresses dancing in the light, reminding us to never give up the fight. We all matter, we all matter, we all matter. One human family, standing together. Red dresses dancing in the light, reminding us to never give up the fight. We all matter, we all matter, we all matter. One human family, standing together.
Live on the air, Trial Junkies United presents Justice After Dark with your host, Z.
Of course, my beautiful Maud Falla, and we've got Southern Gal and Chris and Farquaad and Sleuthy Sweetheart and Where the Lavender Grows. Also therapist, which we can always use a therapist. Welcome to everybody that's here, even to our lurkers, as Sleuthy always likes to say. But I'm glad you guys made it tonight. To all of our trial junkies, our truth seekers, and our justice warriors. I'm Z, your storyteller in the wilderness of injustice, and my ride or die Doc is riding shotgun as we navigate the darkness where the predators hunt and the system fails. This one gets bumpy. Are you ready, Doc?
I certainly hope so.
Well, Thursdays we honor our Indigenous and Native brothers and sisters. We tell their stories so no one is ever forgotten. And tonight we're not letting LaShonda Defender be forgotten. But before we get started, I'm going to tell you who LaShonda is. LaShonda is 23 years old, and she is Cheyenne River Sioux. Is that correct, Chantelle?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. And she stands 5'5". She has brown eyes, brown hair. She wears glasses. She has a Hello Kitty tattoo on her left shoulder. She's loves very artistic, loves anime, And she has a sister, Chantelle, that she was living with, and she has a family who loves her. And this had an excuse me, guys. She had an emotional support dog, and she had a life, a home, worked 2 jobs. And you know what? She had a phone number because her family could reach her on that. But by February 2026, that was the last time LaShonda was seen. February 27th of 2026, outside her apartment in Pierre, South Dakota. Her family says she didn't say goodbye. They say it wasn't like her, and I've got questions. This is a woman who was a sister, had her support dog, 2 jobs in a home, and disappears without a word? Yeah. I think we need to get started on this because in July, she met a man, yeah, who called himself John Michael Smith. Within 2 months, her sister was out of living with her. He was in, and losses started stacking up fast. And of course, this is the only picture we have of him because he was very good at not being seen. So by February of 2026, she quit both jobs, gave away her emotional support dog, guys, changed her phone number, and cut off her family. She missed her own brother's funeral. People who did see her said she was withdrawn. She wouldn't look people in the eye. She kept her head down, not smiling, not herself. There were multiple wellness checks. Her 17-year-old brother went to check on her, and this guy, this John Michael Smith, pulled a gun on him. We got questions. And this is not even his real name, even though he legally changed it to this. Because in 2019, he went by Jacob Wade Hosford out of Arkansas, Southern gal. He was down there in Arkansas. He came to South Dakota, filed a legal name change in Vermilion, South Dakota. He married a woman named Catherine. Before that, there were other wives. He left behind a wife and an infant daughter. His own mother hasn't spoken to him in years, and advocates have developed information. He was specifically dating and targeting Native girls in South Dakota. LaShonda's missing status actually got cleared up in Dubuque, Iowa, but nobody has seen her since. The phone number she gave the police when she walked in to say, "I'm fine," isn't working. The family wants to see if that was even her that came into the police station. But let's go ahead, and I want you guys all, please give a big welcome to her sister, Chantelle. Chantelle, thanks for joining us tonight. How you doing?
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, and thanks for doing this story on my sister. It means a lot to me and my family. I'm feeling pretty good tonight.
Good. And hey, Kerrville, thanks for joining us. Make sure you guys share this episode. We need this message out there. So let's
Mhm.
start with some of the questions we got. Before any of this happened, though, before July of 2025, tell me who LaShonda was.
She was just a very outgoing person, very nice. Was, I guess, just nice to strangers. If someone needed help, she would help them. Like, if we were at the store, like a parking lot somewhere, she liked to take her dog on walks frequently. We liked to sit outside on our porch at the apartment with the dog during the evenings. She's loved to draw, paint. She worked on multiple paintings, played video games, loved to spend time with family. Just like an overall kind of like bubbly person, I would say.
Okay. And, the picture I have of her up, it shows her smiling and she's sitting outside. And
Yeah.
Chris has said hi to you, and so has some of the other, Farquaad. Farquaad's from Australia. She's our down under.
Hello.
and they're sending out hellos to you, and we appreciate that, guys. Thank you for giving her a warm welcome, and our
Thank
surf girls here.
you.
But so she's outgoing, she's fun, and she worked 2 jobs. I mean, that shows she was
Yeah.
really had a lot of, you know,
She was
get up
industrious.
and go.
So
Yes, she was.
What, Doc?
she was industrious.
Yes,
Mhm.
that's the word.
Mhm.
And she liked her jobs, right?
Yeah, she did.
I'm showing one of the pictures you sent when you guys were little.
Yeah,
When
that was during our foster mom's wedding.
oh, that's such a cute picture.
Yeah, I liked
So
it.
you were actually living with her at this time, right?
Yeah.
You guys, okay, you were sharing the apartment. Um, and then the relationship, when did you first notice something was different about your sister?
I mean, I feel like, um, I feel like as any normal person does, we just go through some of our hard times, I feel like, or our moments, that
Mhm.
last a little bit. So, like I had mentioned, me and the family have been concerned for like her mental health and her overall well-being. Before, I mean, I would say she had mentioned this guy, but I would say overall, so that's why at first I didn't want to like just immediately like, oh wow, it's this guy. But I would say it wasn't long after she had mentioned him. I would say like less than a month, her behavior got worse, it wasn't really improving. I would say at all. It was declining and I just kind of became more concerned with her. And then like I said, it was just kind of like a flip, like a switch was flipped, and she just completely changed like drastically one day, after she had mentioned, this man wanting to move in with her.
Okay.
Was
And
it
you
kind
were
of a
living
situation where she was in almost like a defensive attitude toward him and
Yes, she was
okay.
very defensive of him, I would say.
Okay.
And like I had said, well, I just had my own concerns, especially over them just not knowing each other for a very long time,
Mm-hmm.
and the age difference as well.
right. Chris, they really haven't looked at him as in any other cases. So, yeah, that question, they haven't. But so you were living with her
Mhm.
and she tells you she met this guy. And where did she tell you she met him?
At the Long Branch and Pierre.
Okay. And it's a bar that has karaoke that's down by your guys' apartment, right?
Right,
And
sometimes
she
like
loved karaoke.
yes, she did.
And so that's where she met him.
Yeah.
And the picture I have up now is the picture I think of your mom and you and her and your grandmother. Is
Yep.
that the one you said? Yeah.
Mhm.
So that shows she has people that cares about her a
She
lot.
does. She does.
And so she tells you had you met the guy yet before she mentioned him? Had you seen him in the bar?
I'm not able to remember or recall ever seeing him before she introduced us.
Okay. And when did she introduce you to him? Was it at the Lawn Branch or was it at your house?
It was at the Long Branch when she had pointed him out
Okay.
to me one night. I don't remember a specific date, but it wasn't,
Right.
it was shortly after she started talking about seeing this man.
Okay. And it wasn't too long after that he started stopping by to use your wash machine,
Yeah, to do his laundry with a laundry bag. Yeah.
which is odd.
I thought it was very odd, yeah, for sure. And I thought it
Yeah.
for her behavior, that was out of the norm because she's not the type to let just like, this random man that she really doesn't know too well in her apartment alone, especially to just use the washer.
And truthfully, you had told me that LaShonda really hadn't had a bunch of relationships.
Correct.
So this was something that was kind of new to her. She was 23, but she might have had her own place and been working two jobs, but she wasn't worldly. I guess that's the way to put it, right?
Yeah,
She
I would say
wasn't
very minimalist for sure.
yeah. So she was for people of the opposite sex, she was a little more shy, correct?
Yep.
This was something that was kind of out of the realm for what she was used to.
Right. And she
Um,
was very careful and yeah, just, definitely was never like this before with anybody in the past.
and for y'all to know, this guy is 37 years old. She's 23
Correct.
and had she ever had a boyfriend before?
No, not an official boyfriend that I know of, like in person, that had lived in Pierre, as far as I'm concerned, except, maybe one in high school that lasted just a short
Okay,
time, but like anybody
right.
else.
So otherwise, she just kinda had relationships with people, like, when she was gaming. She had
Right.
friends.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah. That's what you meant by not in person, yeah.
Yeah, and she
Um,
had made like animes on YouTube, and I noticed she took that down. It's in her Instagram bio. It's the link, and she used to make like small videos, short videos, I guess, of like animes she'd hand draw on her phone. They were pretty good. She's pretty talented, like I said.
right.
And she had taken that down for some reason, but that was also something that she was passionate about and had pushed out on social media as well.
Okay, so that's another kind of warning sign, a red flag. We'll call it a
Yeah.
red flag.
Mhm.
Josh, you're right, the creep factor is strong with this one.
Mm-hmm.
We need Yoda right now. Creep factor is strong with this one, but okay. So this guy starts coming around. How long before she kinda asks you to leave so this dude can move in? Or did you move out before?
She had explained a totally different scenario to me, you know, essentially
Right.
completely lied to me about what was going on. I had talked to the landlord face to face, and the story she told me, he said he never talks to her. And that's not what she had told me. Um, so I was thinking in my head, she didn't want to live at the apartment anymore. She told me she wanted to move in with our foster mom. So I was like, okay, sounds good. But she's like, oh, well, I just didn't pay this month's rent. So the landlord said we have like 2 days or 3 days before we have to leave. So we have to pack all our stuff. So it's okay, and I had another place to stay at the time. And so I'm getting my things ready. And then I had noticed that he came by. I offered her some money as well to pay for the deposit and that month's rent. And she was like, no, I think John just wants to pay it. He said, this man, whoever. And I was confused as to who until I saw him. And I didn't realize, that he had this nice truck, I suppose, when I saw his vehicle at the time and seeing the way he dresses, I guess, his wardrobe, I guess, his attire, and borrowing, her washer machine that just,
Some bells were going off for you. Well,
yeah,
the fact your sister told you a story that turned out not to be true to get you out of the apartment, which
right.
was out of character. I mean,
Hmm.
here you guys are having a great time. and then all of a sudden this mysterious dude shows up. And I think one thing that I remember you telling me was that when you would see him in the bar, he would always wear hats, so you really couldn't see his face very well, right?
Yeah, pretty down low. Like he didn't want to be really loud in the bar. He was kind of like in the shadows guy, not doing too
Right.
much, always looking around, being hyper aware, I would say.
Hey, Pammy, thanks for
Well,
joining us.
it's a situation. They're making comments about him changing his name, and he said, "Well, we have successfully outed the dude
Yeah.
because
Yes.
we told everybody what his real
What?
name is."
Yeah. Because it was Jacob Hosford. He legally changed it to John Michael Smith. And I mean, why not just go by John Doe? I mean, come on, people.
Yeah, pretty generic.
Exactly. And that
Mhm.
was one thing you found out, Chantelle, is he was really paranoid about being tracked, right? By the
Right.
government. That
Mhm.
that that was another thing that went a little crazy.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's what someone from the community had reached out personally and DM'd me, and had told me that's what he told her, he doesn't trust bank accounts, he doesn't use them, just yes, along those lines.
okay. And just to backtrack a bit, because later you found out this information, but it happened before LaShonda. He
Mhm.
had actually started going into a local restaurant, right? And talking up one of the waitresses or something.
Yep,
And she was also a native woman.
yep.
And so he even applied for a job to get closer to her.
That's what they believe. Yeah,
And
the
then, yeah, go ahead and tell that story.
um just along the lines of what one of the workers had told me that worked there personally, that told me the situation that happened, and she reached out, and also mentioned in the end of our messages that she was surprised that he could, kind of change his physical appearance, because back in, I want to say around, this was October 2024, I believe, that this had happened. He puts a Bible on the
Okay.
counter, walks in, orders food, tries to flirt with this native woman who is a waitress there, I believe. And she's not going for it, whatever. And he eats his food, applies for a job. I want to say, oh, he came in the next day and got an application and got hired on the spots.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
You're telling me that he flashed a Bible?
Yep. She had mentioned when all she had noticed is like when he had walked in, he was carrying a Bible inside the restaurant and just put it down on the counter, and like I guess just was started looking at the menu and ordered food.
And you found
Hmm.
out that was a nickname somebody called him was Rev, right?
Is what he had introduced himself to me and well, at least me, and like that goes along the lines of he had introduced himself as multiple different names to different family members when he met them, and different people in the community as well in Pierre. Like people have reached out to me and have told me that, they thought his name was this or whatever, so yeah.
So that's not shady at all.
Right.
There's one word that comes to mind if he's changing, he's trying to change his image to look like, it would appear. And I was going, this guy is a creepy player. I mean,
Yeah.
that's, you know,
Yeah, but you're gonna find out he's a creepy player with no game.
Yeah.
Hey,
Mhm.
hey, Semi Sharps here, our other beautiful mod. Okay, so oh, and talk about his appearance change because at one point he supposedly what had a beard and long hair.
Is what one of the locals had told me that had first met him, as far as they're concerned, is when he said he first moved to Pierre back in 2024. They told me, who I'm also friends with, that he had long hair originally and a beard when they first met him, but he was very secretive about himself. And over the years up until now, that he's always been secretive, doesn't say much about himself, kind of defensive when he's asked personal questions, which I've noticed, other people have noticed. People have reached out from the community and have mentioned that people that have meant like, met him, that he just has like this vibe and energy that's just like off, weird, like you just get this vibe like he's just, essentially not a good person, I want to say.
Yeah. Yeah. But then when you met him, the beard and the long hair were gone, right?
Yeah, no, this guy had a bald head, like no facial hair, no eyebrows.
Did you guys get that? The dude shaved his head and his eyebrows. Something just ain't clicking right upstairs. I'm just saying. To me, it's just like what? Why would you shave your
That
eyebrows off?
was a red flag to me as well.
Yeah, that is
And
serious
then
stuff. Ugh.
just that he was like scrawnier before in 2024 versus now he's a little bulkier, more built, I want to say. And that's what that person had reached out from the community mentioned, like, wow, like that's crazy, because I thought it would be a long shot for me to think this guy is the same creepy guy that I had a weird encounter with, back in
Right.
2024.
And so, okay, he gets the job at the restaurant, but that job didn't last long, did it? Because the waitress made it clear she wasn't going for it. And
Which
then
had
he
upset.
started. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sweetheart.
That had made him really upset, I guess, is what she had said. Just like he like came visibly angry. I want to say, like in his body language, his tone overall was just like immediately just angry.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, Josh, red flags. He's putting red flags in the chat.
Mhm.
Yeah, this guy had a lot of red flags. And so he ends up quitting that job actually because everybody gets suspicious of him, right?
Hmm.
Because he keeps asking questions. And so everybody thinks he's an undercover cop.
Or as a specific worker, yes. And like I had well, no, I didn't mention. My apologies. But this person had mentioned that he had left just randomly one day, never showed back up, and something about his time clock or something at the job just disappeared, and he never got his last pay stub. Never picked it up or anything. So
Right. And I don't know about you guys, but when I work and I have a paycheck, I need my paycheck. I don't go there for fun.
Well, yeah,
right.
it kind
And
of makes sense, you know.
his time definitely didn't last long there, is from what I had gathered from that conversation.
Yeah, exactly. A total poser, Chris. You're
Mm.
right. He's a total poser. So, and then there was another girl that what her interaction was what they had a conversation at the bar and she worked at the bank, so he thought that meant she was interested.
Yeah,
Is that my
I don't know specifics as to like 100% confirm whether or not she mentioned she worked at the bank to him, or if he just found out or just followed her, because there
right?
was, um I guess I want to say just allegedly, he had also mentioned at the restaurant that he was living in his car, which was an F-150 back then. Obviously a different truck from now, but that just seems to be his go-to. I want to say others have said he's lived in like in white SUV or like a van of some sort. But yeah.
So at times he's kind of lived off the grid.
Yes.
Okay. And just to back this up a little bit more, you guys, I'm not trying to confuse you all, but in 2019, he was living in Arkansas. That's where he was he was actually from, correct, Chantelle?
Yep.
Okay, so he's living in Arkansas. He was married, and we're just gonna call her Kay. And they had a baby. And then he tells Kay, I have to leave and go to South Dakota because did he say he had a dream or something, or the woman that he was meant to marry lived up there, or something
He
crazy like
said
that?
God told him there was a woman up there for him to marry.
Yeah. So he went
Oh,
up to
we got serious creep factor going on here.
so he
Yeah.
goes up in 2019 to Vermilion, South Dakota. And this is where he meets, well, I think he already knew, probably through Twitter or I mean Tinder or something, because I think he went to Vermilion with a purpose, and that was to get with Catherine. And Catherine actually, because he was still married to Kay, you guys, Catherine pays for the divorce so she can marry him. Before she marries him, he legally changes his name. He drops the Jacob Hosford and goes by, gets his name changed to John Michael Smith. And of course, sometimes he goes by Mikey, sometimes he goes by Michael, John, whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
he marries her after he changed her name, but her last name was Hosford. Now, South Dakota, you got a problem allowing people that legally pay to change their name and then you let them get married under another name. I'm sorry, if you're signing legal documents and you're not using the name that you now paid for, that's a problem. But it wasn't until 2021, are you following me, guys? That Catherine goes and legally changes her name to Smith. Think about that. So she had his old last name while he's running around as Smith. Yvette Buckner says, when we met him, he was homeless and he had a black truck. He built a wooden cab on the back and lived in it during the winter. He worked for River City Transit for a while. They helped him get an apartment. Okay. Did you know that, Chantelle?
No.
Okay, so there's some more information.
Wait a minute.
So,
Yeah, he lived in the back of his truck in South Dakota or in Arkansas?
South Dakota. When he was up there in South Dakota, he was homeless. He had a black truck and he
Huh.
built a wooden cab on the back of it and then lived in it during the winter.
Well, that had to
And
be
he
cold.
worked for River City Transit for a while and they helped him get an apartment. And see, that's part of the problem, Yvette, that I'm seeing is he does not hold jobs long, and yet he keeps getting vehicles.
Just looking vehicles, for my opinion.
Yeah.
More
So
more than what he's
Mhm.
working for.
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I mean this is crazy. Oh, I've got the picture of you and your sister with the little
With the-
puppy.
It's like a deer filter.
Yes, it is so cute. That shows you the fun side that these sisters were close, you guys. These sisters were close, and this guy, like I think Simi or someone else mentioned, he or Southern guy, he was isolating her, and he
Mhm.
moved quick. I mean, this happened quick. Um, and so we kind of got caught up. Well, the girl at the bank, he found out where she
Oh,
worked,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And you guys, he would go in there and just stand there and stare at her.
Mm-hmm.
That's creepy. Oh, tell everybody how she found out when he was showing up, though.
Because she was standing at the desk, and how it's laid out is that the desk she was working at is like a clear view of where the people in the lobby can see you and you can see them. And yeah, that's how she would basically see him, is in the lobby.
But how did she avoid him? Remember you told me he did something with his truck, and
Um,
that's how she knew he was showing up.
that he had traded it.
No, didn't he get flags or something put on it?
Um, no, just that there was one folded up, the one that's
No,
currently still.
I thought when he started, he'd put flags up on his truck or something, so or maybe it was Laura, because you worked with Laura Bullock. She got you
Yeah.
some information too,
Mm-hmm.
and someone had told me that he put a flag up on the truck so that she started seeing as he pulled in that, he was there so she could kinda hide.
Right, which is
Um,
scary and like definitely not a good vibe, obviously.
yeah,
Not as safe. She doesn't feel safe, clearly, you know. And that's
right,
multiple women from Pierre have reached out from experiencing, allegedly, just like weird encounters that ended up being creepy and, you know, looking over their shoulder essentially at different times, worrying, like, along those lines, I would say, which I don't think is normal, and
right.
especially for Pierre, and someone had mentioned on a post we had made on the missing persons pages around Facebook, that he has apparently been a problem for Pierre. Like multiple women have reported him or tried to make reports or something, but this guy can just apparently like weasel his way out of anything, with words and the law, and can like manipulate the law to his ability, I would want to say, like,
Okay.
he's, like I said, tried to be a police officer,
Yeah.
in
Hey,
different
Z, did you
states.
see the comment from Yvette?
Yeah, Yvette says he brought LaShonda to us to meet her and told us she was his fiance. She was very quiet and he did all the talking. The interesting thing about that, Yvette, is he's still married to Catherine. Yeah, we'll
Legally,
cover
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Legally,
There's so much information that we just, yeah, have to just touch
yeah,
base on, where hopefully we can. I feel like it is, I don't want to just have it feel scattered, just because there's so
right,
much, that it just keeps
exactly.
expanding.
And Yvette, my email is trialjunkiesunited@gmail.com. Reach out to me, please, so that I can get you with Chantelle. Any information they can get
Mm-hmm.
can help us find LaShonda, because LaShonda was not normally a shy, quiet person.
Hmm.
No.
And him doing all the talking is a huge red flag. And it's really hard to be someone's fiance when they're already married. I'm just saying. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that kind of catches you guys up on some of the backstory.
Southern Gal wanted to know, do you know the general vicinity he lived in Arkansas? I think she kind of wants to know if he's around her, or she can find
Let's
him,
see.
or
Wasn't it Harrisburg?
I want to say around Jonesboro and
okay,
Harrisburg.
okay.
There is
Yeah.
a public interview of him, obviously
Okay.
available
There.
to the public.
Lorna
Of
just put it Harrison, Arkansas. Lorna's here.
Hmm,
Okay.
okay.
That's o that's okay, Lorna. Laura, we appreciate you giving us that information. I was
Mhm.
thinking Harrisburg,
Yeah.
Harrison.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Me too.
Okay. Okay. So we're kind of going to jump back into what we were talking about with our story.
A
Um,
bang.
the bank. So, he creeped that poor woman out. I
Right.
mean, so
And
so
other too, yeah.
so he got a reputation around the whole town of going
Mhm.
after these native girls and freaking them out, which, I wish the police would have done something, but oh well. So now she moves him in. She moves you out first, moves him in, but as you're moving and he's there, the person that was helping you move was trying to just be friendly and ask some questions, right? And he got
Mhm.
upset.
Yeah, defensive, like, "Didn't you already ask?" Like, "I already answered that. Why do you wanna know?" You know? But just, like, an attitude, and even upon meeting him, even from the jump, the first day, even at the bar, I mean, he's not, like, super friendly, and I'm not saying just because someone's not like, "Hey, what's up?" Like, super friendly,
Right.
and people have days, and there's different reasons for different things, but there's just a vibe that you get, that you can feel from him, that's not like, you're like, "Ugh, like, I gotta question you," like, "I don't know about you," but, he just definitely seemed like he had his guard up, like, he wasn't being genuine. Like I said, all those people that have reached out from Pierre that have personal encounters with this guy have all said that he was trying to act nice, or tries to have this like nice act, whatever, but that they can
Right.
sense it's obviously like fake, essentially.
And Yvette, if you or anybody in the community up there has any tips, please let us know. If anybody's got a photos of this guy, please, because
And
he was good at not getting photos taken.
right. And, also, I just never thought of taking one of him for this reason, I guess, which I now know, I can be aware now to in the future
Yeah.
for other people as well. Because, like I said, I just never would have ever guessed, this would have ever, yeah, like had this happen,
Well,
I
you
guess.
thought eventually it would just work its way out, right? You just figured eventually they would break up and that, just a normal relationship, it would run its course.
Right. Like it wouldn't have lasted as long as it has, or gotten so dark and scary as it has.
Right. Because now LaShonda, did she ever tell you that she was his fiance?
No, and she hadn't told anybody in the family either, who, like I said, that's very weird, out of behavior for her, especially because she was very open about a guy she was possibly talking to in the beginning of the year,
Right.
around her age, closer, that she wasn't really wanting to give a chance to. She just wanted to be friends, but she was very open about talking to it with me, the foster mom. It's not like she would hide anything or want things like that to be kept secret, I want to say. So for her to be
Right.
like hiding, "Oh, I'm getting married, I have a fiance now," that's very out of the ordinary.
Yeah. And I think with you, I think he did the talking, so it was probably him that said it.
Mhm.
And Yvette, they put the email up. Fowler and Semi both put up my email there. So go ahead and email us anything that can help with this. It will be huge to get information.
Mhm.
But okay, so now we've got it to where you're gone and she's home with him. He's living in the place. He's not working at this time, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And how long was it when he moved in that all of a sudden she stopped working?
I believe September is when he had made her quit both jobs, and I can't confirm 100% if she put in her 2 weeks or not before, or if it was just on the spot, or if she called, you know.
Okay.
But he had, this is after everything. Essentially, her car broke down. I want to say, I don't know, that had happened shortly after talking about him, but I don't know if that's coincidental. But, she was sort of out of luck with rides too at the time.
Okay. So he gets her to quit her jobs. He's not working. Neither one of them are working.
Right.
He's traded in his truck for a different truck, and he's also picked up a car.
Right.
And it's like, so where's he getting the money for this? We don't know. At this,
Mm-hmm.
because someone that's not working, how are you paying rent and how are you buying vehicles? You
Right.
know, those are questions that I have.
Well, how many times did he do that?
As far as I know, well, I mean, essentially, even from just Pierre, I want to say, as from what I've heard so far, I mean, confirmed 1, 2, he's traded 2 or 3 trucks, essentially, and not 100% confirmed, a white SUV, and then traded his blue truck that he had when I met him for this gray F-150 he left and a blue Chevy Cruze.
And that's all since
amazing.
2020, and that's since 2024.
Yes, October 2024. I want to say
He's done all that since
Yeah.
2024.
Because anybody that knows the auto industry knows that they don't give you jack for a trade-in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But they want the world for the vehicle that they have. So,
Yeah.
I mean that's
I don't think
that's a lot of money to put up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's what's suspicious.
Yeah.
Laura says he saved the day getting her a vehicle. Which he did, right? Because her car breaks down and all of a sudden, oh, here, let me get you a vehicle.
Right. Like, oh,
Mhm.
let me pay for this rent you're behind on, which, like I said, I offered to pay for her and the deposit to release another year, which she just released to stay a whole year in August, too, is when she renewed.
Okay. So August of 2025, she renews her lease to stay for another whole year.
Yep.
Okay.
Not
So,
planning to leave, the state.
right. Now, after you've moved out and she's home, and in September now she's quit her job, was she still in contact with the family for a while?
I want to say so. Yeah, I want to say maybe it might have been 2 months after August. So maybe around October is when, yeah, shortly, because it was, I want to say the middle of October, when my brother had passed and my mom wanted to get a hold of LaShonda and she wasn't able to, which wasn't anything new because shortly before that, I'm not sure 100% on like a time. Um, but shortly before that, obviously, like she had no contact with LaShonda, she just randomly stopped texting, answering the phone, you know.
Right. And now there had been some wellness checks. People had called about your sister, correct?
Yeah.
And your younger brother actually went up to the apartment to check on her.
Yeah.
And John Michael Smith, aka Jacob Hosford, pulled a gun on a 17-year-old kid.
It was kind of like not so as in those terms, I want to say,
Okay.
but just made it known he had a gun, like lifting up his shirt and kind of like, just I want to say
the
like
threat
making
was there though.
Yeah, it was very obvious.
Okay. Implying you need to leave is what he was
Yeah.
trying to. Yeah. He
Yeah,
wanted
and
your
he's
brother gone.
37. Yeah, and my brother is 17 years old.
Yeah. A 37-year-old man implies by pulling up his shirt, showing him a gun, you need to leave.
Right. And my little brother, who is through foster care, is Native American also.
Right. Phallus is my ex-husband was amazing at not having a job and buying things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Kerrville, yeah. brandishing. That's the word.
Yep,
Thanks, Kerrville.
brandishing. Yep.
And we wonder where the money's coming from. We got questions on that. So your foster mom went up to check on her, and your foster mom, she's a registered nurse, but she's not a big woman, right? You said she's kind of petite.
She is pretty petite, yes.
And he threatened to have her arrested.
Yes. For trying to talk to LaShonda.
Yeah.
And check on her and have a conversation with her, and like any other encounter, any other time with anybody, LaShonda was quiet, didn't talk, let him speak for her, looked at the ground, didn't say anything, and like I said, when my brother had passed and my mom went to her job at the Emporium, I want to say, or where was it? I forgot where she had talked to her to ask for her number, but she said she changed it and that she didn't want to talk to my foster mom, which was very random and, like I said, out of her normal behavior, because she's had regular contact with her like literally her whole life thus far.
Yeah.
I wonder what would have happened if she would have said, "Well, bring on the police. Let's get this thing solved. We want to know who you are."
Well,
Right.
sadly, because he was paying the rent, they probably would have told her to leave. Because he took over the rent.
Yeah, but was his name on the
That-
deed, or what was his?
I don't think so, because he doesn't like to leave his name on
Yeah,
documentation.
And yeah, I mean, I want to say that there was one thing put out there, not 100% confirmed, that he uses the name Michael Smith to sign some documents as well.
Okay.
Which I don't know how he
Okay.
would be able to get the clearance for that, but the numbers he also leaves to get in contact with him never work, or are out of service.
So he leaves people a phone number, and then very quickly he gets rid of it.
Right.
Okay. And so she breaks off contact with the family, and that started toward like November.
Yeah, like
And it's-
October. I mean, it was initially around September. Like I want to say, yeah, around there. Really got dramatic, like for sure. Like I want to say you could split it like with a knife, like that. Dramatic shift, like for
Right.
sure October.
Okay. And now I got a picture up right now showing LaShonda on her porch with her holding her little service, or her little emotional support dog in her sweatshirt holding it.
Mhm.
When did she give away this emotional support dog?
I'm not 100% sure, but I want to say probably September. Like it was shortly after he had moved in. It was before October.
Okay. So she makes her give away her emotional support dog. And she gave it to your foster mom. So everybody, it's okay. The dog's fine. But this was her emotional support dog. And let's be very clear. Your sister has seen a therapist for a long time, correct?
Mm-hmm.
For some emotional issues. I mean, she's a young Native child that was put into foster care very, very young. And so there's going to be trauma with that. There's going to be things to deal with. And so she had she needed a therapist to talk to. She had some depression. She had been on some medication for depression. And then she stopped taking it. Do you know when she stopped taking it? Was it before she met him, or maybe right after she met him?
To my knowledge, it was before she met him for sure. I mean,
Okay.
I want to say like it was a little bit before I know for sure when she had started mentioning him.
Okay. because she didn't like how she felt on it, and that happens a lot, you
Yeah.
know. Um, but that was one of the things because you had tried to get the therapist to help write a letter as that she's a vulnerable adult, even though she's 23. Um, she
Yeah,
doesn't always act.
she's definitely a vulnerable adult. But when it comes to some of those forms and, some of those uh things, there's guidelines, whatever, and requirements, whatever, like,
Yeah.
proof, and it's not like I just
Well, see, that was the thing that confused me because the therapist said, "Well, we never had her tested for anything. We never gave her a
that there needs to be like
diagnosis."
hard
Well,
proof
my thought is if
essentially.
you've been treating for someone most of her life, had her on medication, and you haven't tested her for something, I would like to know exactly what your qualifications as a therapist are. And maybe if therapist you know is still here, she could help us with that because that's a big one that
Mhm.
but they didn't do that. They wouldn't do the paperwork to help the family out. So, and then that's my question. That's not from coming from the family. That's just how I feel because that really bugs me. Um, because maybe that could have helped get this nipped in the bud quicker. Is all I'm saying. Um, and so whenever people would see her, like on the street or whatever, she wouldn't look at people, she wouldn't talk, he would do the talking, you know. And then how did this guy, because this dude, you guys, he has tried to become a police officer, he's tried to become a prison guard, but he can never make it through the orientations or the training, right?
Yeah, like he doesn't make the cut essentially in the end.
Yeah. So, I mean, right there, if you can't even become a prison guard, something, you know, wrong. Because that, and just my feeling, and I mean, just allegedly, I'm just wondering if he's got some anger issues because I would think that would be something that they would worry about because the dude does like guns. He does have weapons. That's why there is concern for LaShonda.
Yeah.
Um, but
South Dakota missing persons. It says, Chantelle, I'm proud of you. Keep speaking up for LaShonda.
yeah,
There's,
Oh,
she sent that to
dear.
you, Chantelle,
Thank you
and that
so much. And I will, yeah. I mean, and I know these things take time, so that's why I don't ever
right,
want to be discouraged. And I understand it just takes patience with
right.
these sort of things. And this is my first time dealing with this, so
Right.
mhm.
yeah.
Yes. Sadly, too many of Native families do go through this, and so
Mhm.
that's why we built our platform. Southern gal, you're right. Anger and control issues because this guy likes control. We can see that. He took over this girl. He took over LaShonda's life. She no
Mhm.
longer had a life. Um, Now, when did you guys? Oh well, let's bring in the prison guard because since he did go up to become a prison guard, he met someone, and let's put his name out there, Mr. Lewis Washington. If you ever see this, we really would like to have you contact us because we have questions. Because somebody reached out to him. Who contacted him and he said everything was okay because he had seen LaShonda recently? What,
The
you know,
police officer who I had called, yeah, essentially
contacts Lewis Washington, who was a friend of John
personal.
Michael.
It was the
Okay.
police officer's words.
Okay. So Lewis Washington says he's a personal friend of John Michael Smith. And he tells the police officer, "Oh, well, I saw him not that long ago. They're fine." You know, I'm just, why is this man speaking up for LaShonda when he really doesn't know LaShonda?
Right. Like
Um,
I've like just seen one conversation, and who knows if that was even said.
yeah. And so now let's bring this forward. to when did you find out your sister had left South Dakota?
I want to say it was not even after I had reported her missing. Actually, I want to say maybe it was the next day, so maybe that was the 24th or the 25th. I think it was the same day I found out she wasn't in town. Probably around the
In
24th or 25th of March.
of March.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and you reported her missing because how did you find out she was no longer in the city?
I think it was I had forgot how I found out she left the town, or just essentially I had got a text from somebody that my mom, that essentially that they just heard she was moving west, and that's what the police officer had told me also on the phone. um and I think that was either along the lines of that correctional officer at the prison in Pierre, Lewis, Washington, um his statement he gave to the police officer,
Okay.
that they said they were moving.
So, yeah. Laura says the last time she was actually seen was February 27th. But she didn't get reported missing until March
Mhm.
26th or 27th. So, this prison guard, because he told the prison guard he was leaving South Dakota and he was never coming back, correct?
He had told that to someone that had reached out in the community, and
Oh,
someone else
okay.
that had reached out from the community, and we were, they're talking to me about their encounters, conversations, and essentially both of them had told me among recently, for timing, that he told them, I'm just leaving the shithole. You're never gonna see me again. I'm never gonna come back. Is and that I just was like I don't know. I just you know
Yeah.
worry about that. Like, why would you say that like that? I guess.
And then you find out that she let her lease go. She had until August, but she let the lease go in February sometime or the beginning of March, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the lease is gone. And then you guys find out from someone across the street that they actually, after they've gone, somebody sees a U-Haul unloading an apartment.
Yep.
And we think Lewis Washington was one of them that was unloading the apartment
Yeah.
by the
I mean,
description.
I just want to I'm thinking at least that it was her apartment, because someone had moved in not shortly after they had moved out. But that was also a week before I had reported LaShonda missing. She had said a week before that date, when she had texted me, that she saw two men, one that was black, one that was white, basically go into that apartment complex, bring down furniture and stuff from an apartment, load up a U-Haul, and just never came back.
Right. So we don't know if he sold that furniture or whatever. And that's another contentious thing because when LaShonda moved into the apartment, she got your foster mom's older furniture, correct?
Yep, some extra pieces that she had.
And so there were times that you guys discussed updating some of the furniture, but she didn't want to part with your foster mom's furniture.
Right. Yeah, and she was pretty adamant about that, just wanting to keep it, but also being concerned about my foster mom also wanting her to keep it and not just, get rid of it and throw it away. So she was mindful of that. And like I said, always adamant on not wanting to change things too drastically.
But when John Smith walks in, he dumps all of her furniture from your foster mom, takes it to the dump, and brings his stuff in.
Yep.
or gets new stuff or
Yep, literally everything in the house, I mean, the apartment, like from paintings, mirrors on the wall, like couch, bed, box spring, bed frame, dressers, all of my mom's furniture literally just thrown away, she said. She said she took it to the dump. So
Mm.
I don't know if they took it to hospice or if they literally, took it to the dump, which, like I said, that really surprised me.
yeah. During all these months that this was going on, did you ever have a moment to speak to your sister privately, or was he just constantly with her?
No, I wasn't really speaking to LaShonda at the time, shortly after. And, I understood just, her standpoint on her perception of what was going on, um, and, she's human. I completely understand, a lot of people have been there, in that situation. And I don't know.
You were trying not to push it with her.
Yeah. And I just told her, I don't know, that she might just have to learn the hard way because I just don't know how to put it in words along, just me trying to tell her, like, I just don't think this guy, is a good guy. I mean, this is really soon for you guys. I just think you need to get to know him more. I have vocalized my suspicions, texted
Right.
her well, and I believe he was texting off of her phone, pretending to be her, is what I think, but
Right. So
that can't
you might not have been having conversations with her when you thought you were at first.
be right. And that's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah.
Just
Well, and
from
I'm sure you were hurt with the way she got you out of the apartment and lying the way she did. I mean, that would
yeah,
have hurt me, that someone I was so close to and we had a great relationship and all of a sudden, you're her sister and she's getting you out to bring this guy in.
right. And like that was the day, like I had said, where I saw that dramatic change in her behavior and her literal eyes and her pupils and just her facial expressions were just so, like, they just gave me goosebumps. And there was just some weird energy that just made me kind of scared, where I
Right.
was just really concerned for her when she was looking at me in the eyes with just this like look on her face. And I don't want to say it was like a crazy face, a crazy look, but just very, like, just something I've never ever really seen before.
Right. And we don't know he could have been giving her something. We don't know. We're not saying that
Right.
LaShonda was on any medication or any drugs, but she was reacting different. Her pupils were a little wacko and you were
Mhm.
concerned, but you were also scared because you didn't
Yeah,
want to push her further.
right. Didn't want to push her further either, yeah, at the time. And just I just didn't know how to say it out loud to her either, with John being there as well, because he just gave a very like dominating presence, as well, as to wanting like things to be done like his way, his timing.
Yeah. And that makes sense because I mean, you're not trying to push her further over the edge, you know, and it's a very delicate and you probably figured eventually it would stop because there was a couple of times when she actually did get away, right? And say, "I need some time away from him," in the very beginning.
Yeah, and he called her that one last time, I guess it was the last time that she ever went over to my foster mom's house. And that was essentially also the last time they had contact with her and that she ever texted or called them. The line went silent after that. Basically, I don't know what month that was for certain, before October, I want to say,
Right.
or early October, one of the two. But
So
that
she
his
kinda got punished for taking off?
Yeah, and then but he told her that his dad died, is what he told her, and that's why that's why I was acting the way I was, whatever, along those lines. Like that's why I was so stressed earlier. I've been stressing, my dad's dead and he's died, and that's I'm sorry. Can you please come here? I need you, and she, I completely understand, like I said, she's probably seen a side of him that we haven't, as in, most cases, obviously, with these situations and relationships. So like I said, I
Right.
completely understand. I've been there before myself. So it's just like, I just feel really bad, for her to feel that for him. And then, like I said, for her to just kind of go silent and not talk to anybody after that, really. Nobody really saw her really after that, except for like maybe if
Right.
in Walmart or something, but she was still walking around with her head down and stuff.
Right. Yeah, Southern girl, you're right. It was manipulation. And Chantelle, I can understand. You have seen this before. You were trying to give her some space to work it out herself without pushing her closer to him. Because that's not going to work, cuz sometimes the more you speak up, you know, you can make it worse. So you're trying your best to kind of give her some space, not knowing that he would take off with her.
Mm-hmm.
But
Josh made the comment that it just almost sounds like the process of joining a cult. I mean,
yeah,
the way he's
It's
got her.
yeah,
it's giving false prophet vibes, if you know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And
And
so in March, you decide to put in a missing persons report, right?
yeah,
And so you go to the police, you explain what's going on, get a missing persons report. Now, how long did it take before any contact was made where she was, supposedly?
I want to say it was less than 24 hours, to be honest, literally, of
Okay.
actually not me calling the police with my concern, which was around the 24th of March, I want to say. She was
Mhm.
officially reported, I think, the 26th, 2 days
Okay.
later, because mind you, like in the beginning, the Pierre Police Department really, I mean, just, oh yeah, well, this, CO said she looked fine. She didn't seem in a threatening situation or like she's being forced to be with this guy that she's standing by. Like, no, they seem fine. And then he's like, well, then the landlord says everything's fine. He didn't think, she's being forced to be with him. So, yeah, she's an adult, and that's what it was wrapped up to. And I literally just didn't stop fighting, you know.
Well, she's your baby sister, and you knew she had totally changed. The picture I'm showing is the one that you gave me. It's kind of blurry, but I love it because you guys are both laughing so hard. It
Yeah,
just really it just shows who you 2 were together. I think that really shows the true LaShonda and Chantelle, just 2 sisters that did adore each other, you
yeah.
know?
I
Oh,
mean, yeah.
sweetie.
Every sibling, everybody and their siblings, I feel like do argue and don't see eye to
I'm
eye.
sure.
Time, but we were always laughing at something all the time, and like having to get separated at the dinner table, like, it was just that's just what I
Yeah,
remember with her, my whole life. So, that's why, like I said, that's why I just didn't give up, because that's my sister, in a
right.
relationship. I feel like no matter what happens, or, how she feels, even if she doesn't want to talk to me, or she feels like like I said, I mean, I know the situation along, possible like brainwashing and for sure manipulation and gaslighting with this
Yeah,
man. And I don't
yeah,
know if she's being threatened either, or he's threatening family members, whatever, I just don't know. So,
yeah. And
Like,
that was the weird thing, you guys, is when he left, he took LaShonda in her car that he bought her, but he left his newer truck, and it's still in Pierre, South Dakota,
mm-hmm.
which is odd.
And
Now,
it's
what
with stuff in
Go
it
ahead.
still.
And it's still packed with stuff in it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's strange.
Well,
One
that's
of the thing
interesting. Um,
isn't that interesting?
well, SDMP said Jacob's father that raised him is still alive.
Yeah.
Yep,
So
he is.
that dad that supposedly died still breathing. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I
As a
wonder
whole,
if he
it's
would be, have any information that would be relevant.
Well, trying to get his family to talk is not working real well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
they have reached out to the one wife Kay, and she's terrified of him. We'll tell you that. She was worried he was thinking of coming back to Arkansas. And she said that his mother hadn't heard from him in years. And she said his mother was concerned that he might harm LaShonda. So my question to his mother would be, Mrs. Hosford, what do you know about your son? Is there anything in his past as a minor? Or is there a mental condition that he could have? Um, this family needs to find LaShonda. She is a vulnerable adult, even though they couldn't get the therapist to put it in writing. She is a vulnerable adult.
Mm-hmm.
She needs help.
Yeah.
Hey, Hellcat, glad you joined us, dear. But okay, so it wasn't too long, and you guys found out that he had gone to Dubuque, Iowa, correct?
I want to say kind of. Well, I mean, I guess it kind of felt like a long time, but maybe it was only like 2 weeks. I want to say maybe.
Okay. After you filed the missing persons report, about 2 weeks later, you guys get told that she is supposedly in Dubuque, Iowa, with
Just
John.
that was what that someone, the person that had called from another state, I think initially called the Pierre Police Department, just basically saying, "Hey, I'm okay," which wasn't 100% confirmed. The identity wasn't either by fingerprints or IDs. So we're trying to right now see if the person that went into the police department from that other state was in fact LaShonda. So we're working on that right now. But like as far
Right.
as we know, that's the police department that she had checked into after less than 24 hours after being reported missing officially on the website. But like I said, no contact at all, no word of her at all since even
So
before.
So 24 hours after the missing persons report shows up on the website, the police get a call saying I'm fine, but nobody knows who's saying I'm fine. They're claiming
Yeah,
to be LaShonda.
claiming to be LaShonda. Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, supposedly she walks into a Dubuque police station saying she's fine, but he brought her there. And
Um,
you don't even know if it was her that was brought there because I know Laura's been trying to get some positive, either some footage or something. Was this actually LaShonda that walked into the police station, correct?
hopefully, yeah. But LaShonda had walked in that same day that she called the Pierre PD who told her to go to the police station.
Okay.
But welfare check also wasn't done though.
Okay.
Which I had asked the officer who I made the report with initially when he just put a bolo out before it was ever a missing person report. And this was the first day when I just got word of LaShonda's status and the situation. And I was like, what is going on? It's been way too long. I don't know what is being done or not being done behind the scenes, of course, at this time.
Right.
So obviously, oh, let's just wait is what I'm being told essentially. And, I literally tried to wait, but I just couldn't. It was literally like 8 in the morning and I called the police station and I was like, I just can't, I just can't wait. I would like to file a missing person report. And, at that time it was still like, let's wait, whatever. And like I said, I just literally, yeah.
Yeah. And so let me be clear, guys. Here is where some of the mystery comes in. Supposedly they're in Dubuque, Iowa. Guess who else lives in Dubuque, Iowa? His wife, Catherine.
But he's still
Did you
legally married.
Yeah.
that he's still legally married to? Everybody get
Yeah.
that? He takes his supposed fiance
Take supposed.
to Iowa, where his wife lives.
Mhm.
Okay, just so we're all on the same page here. Now, supposedly, LaShonda gives the police some phone numbers. You can reach me here, right? But then later, when they try and call the phone numbers, what do they find out? They don't work. They've been disconnected,
Mhm.
which is John Smith's pattern. He
Yeah.
gives out phone numbers, then disconnects them. Now, somebody did ask for a welfare check on his wife, which truthfully, you guys, to me is smart because if I was the wife, I'd be worried. If he's got a fiance and he's bringing her down here, does he have a use for me anymore? So, but the wife gave him glowing reviews that he's a great person, even though he's brought some young girl down to Iowa that he's not married to, and you're still married to him. So I have questions for her. I really do. And I did reach out to her, but the only thing on text she said to me is, "It's not me." Yeah, she put, "It's not me."
It's
Wow.
okay. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the game she wants to play, obviously. So
Yeah.
that.
Now, another thing, you guys, they did discover is these vehicles that he keeps purchasing are registered in her name.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
she got
I
money.
don't,
Is she?
well, she works for the college. So,
Hmm.
Laura,
As
you're
what
right.
though? As what though? So
An RN, a residential something or other. It's not like she's a professor or anything.
yeah,
And that was the job she had up in Vermilion too when she married him. So I'm thinking, yeah, you married this guy that likes to prey on young women and you bring him into a college. Good job.
Yeah, and gloat about him.
Yeah. Yeah. So something's really wrong there.
hmm.
And
You
not like an
know.
18-year-old girl, by the way, either. She is also his age.
Yeah. So, hey, if you're listening out there, Catherine, we would love to ask you some questions. I flat out told you we need to find LaShonda because he picked the wrong girl. She has a family that is not giving up. They are concerned for her. No, they don't have children. He only has, that we know of, the one child from Arkansas that he has never seen since she was a baby, correct? When he
Yep.
left in 2019.
2019.
So he's never seen that child since.
But
In
has
fact,
very religiously paying his child support though.
yeah, my question is, if he doesn't use cash, is he using money orders? How is he paying for this child support? I have
Right.
questions on that.
Not wanting to be traced by the government, quote unquote, using bank accounts. So it's like, how does he do all of these financial moves essentially?
Has to be money order of some type.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. Laura put it in there. He only has to pay $240 a month.
Haha.
Yeah. But he still has to come up with that 240 for someone that don't have a job.
with that
Phallus is Cash App. Could be.
$750 for rent at those apartments in Pierre, which he allegedly started paying in August on top of car payments, insurance, and his other stuff, I'm
Yeah.
sure, and allegedly buying new furniture from hospice, like this whole matching set, allegedly. And I just don't buy that. Like, how do you get this whole living room set that matches, like, essentially like a whole house from
Yeah.
just hospice, which never really has that in Pure?
Now, the one thing that the person that saw her leaving, they made the comment that there was a bunch of camping gear that they took with them, correct?
Yes, the same person that saw the U-Haul pack up that apartment complex, the same one she lived at, saw while LaShonda and John were packing, or this black man and John packing, who we can't 100% confirm was Lewis Washington or not. I think that he had helped John move his stuff. But I mean, I want to say obviously it was, but like I said, along those lines. But yeah,
Right.
that she saw them pack up a lot of camping gear, like ammo, weapons, like guns, and so she said it was just odd. And that,
Yeah.
she gets like an eerie vibe just from her bakery down below the apartment.
Right. And that was another thing is that, you know, even though uh well, let's see, I was going to go back and talk about even though if it was LaShonda, let's say that went into the police and she said I'm okay. We know that, let's be honest, the police are not trained to talk to someone that is being coerced, manipulated, and abused.
Oh, in the Pure
And
Police Department, specifically because I've had, a couple women reach out that, they've had the same situation happen to them where their abuser wasn't, especially domestic situations and like welfare checks wasn't properly done, like the way it's supposed to be
right.
done procedure wise, um, just shady stuff, I guess.
Yes. And
Especially
so
that guy worked at the prison or jail as either a CO or a police officer. Like,
yeah.
especially, very protective, I want to say, of whether you're a CO, prison guard, whatever.
And this supposed this Lewis Smith or Lewis Washington, it's like, dude, you were calling this guy your friend. He couldn't even pass to become a guard.
Right.
So, I don't know. Um Oh, yeah. Catherine knows LaShonda's missing because we've told her in text messages that she's missing. And I firmly put it in my text that she is a vulnerable adult. And I even questioned her having her husband around vulnerable young women on college campuses. So, yeah. Um, yeah, Pammy, I agree. Catherine, it's hard to imagine that she doesn't know what's going on.
Exactly.
And I mean, there's some scary things because there's some way this man's making money. We don't know. I don't, is he independently wealthy? I don't know.
Right.
Um,
For some very odd
I,
reason or another, what and why. I mean, it's not like we got to plaster like all your stuff. I mean, I don't need to know every detail
yeah,
of your life. It's just like, why hide? Why be so secretive all of your life? Like, why change your
yeah,
name? Why physically change your appearance all the time? Why vocally
yeah,
express you don't want to be traced by the government? To me, that just
yeah,
gives red flags to mental health issues and real
yeah,
mental illnesses. I want to say,
yeah,
that's just what
yeah,
that's just what all those signs point me to in my head, I want to say.
yeah. No, I agree with you. There's a lot of huge red flags in this case, but the whole thing boils down to LaShonda needs to be found. She
Yeah.
needs to make contact with her family.
Hmm.
One of the other things he did was, Chantelle told me how much that she loved her apartment because of all the sunlight that her apartment had, and she loved opening the windows and having the sunlight. And once he moved in, he covered all the windows.
Yep. All of them.
And there were people at the building that heard arguing. So it wasn't all rainbows and unicorns.
Mhm.
Yes, Southern Gal, we don't know if Catherine has access to money. That's what I would like to know, and that's why I was trying to get a hold of her. Because she still is in touch with him through email. She said she hadn't seen him in a year, but she's in touch with him through email. She has to be, because how else is he getting all these vehicles put in her name?
Yeah, and why change your name to Catherine Smith, from Hosford? And
Yeah.
it's just that, like, I just hope she knows that, like, we're not gonna stop until
No.
we can physically see LaShonda or see or hear from her.
Yeah.
Um it's
Best
just
case scenario, they need to just let LaShonda go home. Just tell her to go home.
mhm.
You
Because
know?
Catherine knows that he's posing as her as LaShonda's fiance, right?
That I don't know, but I'll be glad to text her and let her know, because I just found that out through Yvette, that he said that that was his fiance. So I'll make sure that tomorrow I text that,
Yeah.
um, so that she knows he's got a fiance. Because I would hate for her not to be in the know with the rest of us.
Mm.
Yes.
I'm always giving. I'm a big giver. What can I say? And I love to share information.
Would be a dang shame.
It
Mhm.
would. And Yvette says he went through training at the prison and received a class award. LaShonda was at the graduation as we were. She did not speak that day. So he got an award, but yet they didn't hire him. Yvette, do you know why they didn't hire him?
And why, like,
Um,
doesn't make at all in any circumstance, like at Pizza Ranch, Walmart, out in public, hardly leaves the apartment. And that's just, like I said, so unlike her, so erratic, so just not her,
yeah,
especially at a graduation ceremony. Like, she's gonna want to, like, take pictures and at least have small talk with either John or his friends, just like, because that's just like
yeah,
he was essentially. So it's just like
yeah.
it's just hard for me to, like, imagine her just like just essentially not being like her usual self. So yeah,
Well,
I
she
mean,
wouldn't look anybody
Yvette
in the
just
eye.
said that he gave her a ring.
Oh, really? He gave her a ring. Interesting.
Hmm.
Wonder if Catherine knows. I mean, it does. I mean, earlier I think it was Chris was making the comment that or maybe it was Josh. It sounds cultish. It's like, does he think he's going to end up with multiple wives? I'm just saying. You know,
hmm
Fowla wants to move west so she can sit at Catherine's house and follow her. Leave the taser at home, Fowla. That's all I can. Please leave the taser at home.
Mm-hmm.
um, Yeah, Yvette, any information, if you can reach out to me, if you can reach out to anyone that might have been at the graduation, if anybody got a picture of him, if anybody knows anything, we need as much information on this man as we can. I don't know if he's done this before. I don't know, because since she was in Dubuque, and went into this police station. See, okay, it was 2 weeks after she was reported missing. Or no, it was right after she was reported missing. So that
yeah,
was the end of March. Nobody has seen her. It's been
Jills.
over a month. Nobody has laid eyes on her. We don't know if he's got her in some wooded area with his camping gear. We don't know where LaShonda is, and that's the worry. He can't marry her because he's married.
No, he could.
Well, yeah, he could, but
It's
not
not
legally.
legal, but he could.
And another reason that Chantelle and I wanted to make sure that we told this story is he had made comments to some of his friends, if he had friends, that he had other alternatives about going to either Wyoming, Montana, or Minnesota, where there were other Native girls. So please, I don't know if this man has a Tinder account. Um, I don't know if he's still trying to meet women, Native women. But put out the warning if any of you are Indigenous or Native, this needs to get out. Um, yeah, Laura, you're right. Catherine married Jacob Hosford, not John Smith. But
Yeah, but
technically, he was
technically, yeah.
already John Smith. That's why I don't understand South Dakota. They need to clear that law
And
up.
Catherine changed her last name to Smith.
Yeah,
You
2
know,
years
so
later.
yeah.
So is it like she just found out 2 years later and then changed, or I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Yvette, your acquaintance, yeah, she was. I think Yvette just met her through someone that was also working at the prison or something, probably a family member that was at the same thing. Um, Fala, I didn't say I wanted you to go on Tinder for research. Stop it, girl. You know, that's the only way he could marry her is by getting another fake name, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, they married in 2019. He changed his name in 2020. Okay, but Catherine didn't change hers until 2021. So that's weird. I'm
Okay.
sorry. You marry someone, he gives you his last name, and then he changes his last name, and you wait a year to do yours? Something's not making sense.
Right. And just
Pammy,
sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead, sweetheart.
I was just like thinking like for him just being such like a godly man, whatever, quote unquote, whatever he identifies as, just a lot of his behavior definitely doesn't align with those beliefs. Like not saying he has to be a
Yeah.
saint, but like with his kid and like, you know, on record, 3 wives, but off the record, we know there's a lot more women involved as far as that goes, marriage
Yeah.
wise. So it's just like definitely giving cult vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
can you
Jo
blame us for thinking that?
yeah.
Just honestly.
And Josh, that's a good question. What's his obsession with indigenous peoples? I think because he doesn't think they'll be taken if they go missing, it'll be taken seriously. Let's be honest. We know how many of the Native women do not get any attention when they go missing. And just with this case, because she supposedly went into the police station, didn't have really a wellness check done on her. He was there. They've closed her case. They're having to try and refile her as a missing person. Oh, and Laura said that his reason for changing his last name was to have a name of his own choosing and to be who he is. He also cited
Uh,
severe abuse from his father, but she didn't change her last name until almost a year later. So that's weird. And he didn't just change his last name, he changed his first name and middle name.
and it's like a name of his own, and it's literally the most basic freaking name ever.
It
Yeah,
just it just gives me vibes that he is trying to escape a past.
exactly.
That's hidden and trying to keep hidden and under the surface, but like, you know, uh, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, Josh, he is not a native person. He is a Caucasian dude that has issues.
Yep.
Um, yeah, no, he is not, and he's preying upon the native community, and that's why we wanted to get this out there in case he's still, reaching out to girls. We don't
Right.
know because he doesn't have a problem being married and having a fiance. So,
Oh, wow.
and a kid with no contact with. And like I said, I mean, just, I guess, testimony of him being violent and isolating
yeah,
previous spouses, manipulating them, gaslighting them,
yeah,
the same pattern he's doing with LaShonda, and after being in Pierre for so long, why call it a shithole? Like, why all of a sudden move out
yeah,
of state and go the opposite direction you said you were going, that you're telling everybody,
yeah. And see, we don't even know if she's still in Iowa. They could be in Montana, they could be in Wyoming, they could be anywhere
Right.
because he has lived in Florida, he has lived in Alabama. Um,
Yeah.
Laura
Arkansas.
says Laura says John Smith, Native women, hello Pocahontas.
Yeah.
Well, we know what a loser John Smith was.
Yeah.
And, this one's not falling far from the tree. That's all I
Ve
can say.
And that person that had reached out to me previously mentioned him living in his black F-150, I think with a camper she had mentioned of some sort or something, but that must
Yeah,
have been after his wooden makeshift, whatever, at some
right.
point. And that he was interested in Native American culture and wanted to learn more about it, and just said that he was interested about it, I guess, and asked her personally if she could teach him, I guess, Native American, some like just stuff about Native American culture.
That's
Very
weird.
weird for him being like such a Trump supporter. Just definitely doesn't add up to me personally, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah. And Yvette says, I'm not an acquaintance of his. My husband and I met him when he approached us in our yard. He was asking if he could work on his truck in our alley parking. Okay, so that's how she met him. And so I guess it would just be kinda an acquaintance is someone that you just kinda say hi to. Doesn't mean you're friends. It's just like it could be
Right.
just your neighbor, you're an acquaintance.
I think it's weird.
Um,
Like, he has so much room, at the apartment in the parking lot. There's just a huge, just freaking piece of just parking lot, I guess, behind the apartment building, by the Long Branch, because that's Main Street. And then there's
right.
parking across the street, just literally everywhere. So, I think it's odd. Like, why are you going out of your way to, like, go wherever to park at some random person's alleyway to work on your truck?
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, and Laura says, that she actually had some people tell her that he was giving off odd vibes and actually of hating minorities, that he was one of those kind of guys. So,
His attire at the Long Branch, like I said, it's very Western wannabe, like, let's try to modernize it. Or I don't know if he was
okay.
trying to stand out or make a statement of some sort, but it was just out of the ordinary. Very, you could pluck him out. All he said, like, I call him emotes, like, all like his emotes would be like, I'm from Texas. Like, that's literally like all I would hear from him. My name's Reverend. I'm from Texas. And that's just all I heard from him, literally, like, come out of his mouth. Didn't really want to small talk, just kind of kept his head down, didn't
Oh,
want to make eye contact ever. Just
But he
weird.
did like to ask questions, right? He did like to ask you guys
yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
And that's why people thought he was a narc.
Right.
Yvette,
Um,
Yvette said it was because at that time he was homeless.
oh, okay. That was when he was homeless that she asked that.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, I had heard from different people across Pierre
Yeah.
that reached to me.
Yvette, we really appreciate you giving us some information. That it helps. Every piece can help us find LaShonda. Every little piece adds more to the puzzle. And that's what the whole goal is. You know, if this guy will just return her or leave her somewhere in a town and say, "Hey, come get your daughter, your sister." Yay. We won't even give you a second glance again, dude. We just want LaShonda safe and sound. Um Yeah, Josh, you're right. That's true. Um, yeah, Pammy, yeah, it's Yvette, she said, "Yes, Yvette, it's amazing what a small chat community can reveal." And that's why, please, Yvette, share this episode so that other people up in Pierre know what's going on. We have to get this out because LaShonda needs to be found. We need to know that she's safe and sound because we don't know that. We don't know where she's at right now. Um, and that's the real concern. And right now, we really need law enforcement to list her as missing again. We really need her therapist to write a letter that she is a vulnerable adult. These are things that would really help us locate her. And once she's located, they really need someone who handles domestic violence and abuse to talk to LaShonda,
Yeah.
you know, because sometimes, it's not that we're not saying that the police don't do their job all the time. We're not. But sometimes a man talking to a woman about abuse, she might not feel comfortable. There are
Right.
organizations out there. They need to get with one. And if LaShonda is watching this or hears this, what do you want to say to her, Chantelle?
I just want to say that we love you and we're never going to stop looking for you, LaShonda. We just want to know that you're okay, that you're safe. We just want to have you back in our lives again because, we all miss you, your presence, your laugh, just you being part of the family. And, we just want what's best for you. And this is all coming from a place of love and caring. It's not from just like not wanting to, accept your boyfriend or whatever, if that's where your mind was going, we just want you to be happy and safe. And we just want to make sure that you're not being hurt or in any situation that, you might be blindsided by love right now to see. Um, and we just want to talk to you again and see you, and at the very least, have a conversation with you. At least, um, like sit down somewhere and talk to you face to face, like the family, or whoever you want. You can always reach out to anybody at any time on social media. Mom's number is the same. It'll always be the same. Um, and nobody's upset. We all want you to come back. We're all waiting for you to come back, and reach out, because we miss you. And yeah, we just want you back in our lives.
LaShonda, you deserve someone that really cares about you, that accepts your family, that accepts who you are. So please, honey, if you can get to a phone and call home, reach out. If you're scared, if you need someone to come get you, reach out to your family. We will figure a way to get you home, kid. Um, you need to be with the people who really do love you and care for you and that are willing to battle. Your family is willing to go to war to bring you home, child. You may be 23, you're still a child. And, there's your sister, she is going to keep fighting for you. She loves you. You may have sister fights. That happens. Sisters fight. We're good at it. That's how we learn. Brothers fight. That's just sibling stuff. But they're the people that no matter what, if somebody else talks about their family, oh, I can talk about my sister. You can't,
Mhm.
you know. And that's love, LaShonda. And I want you to think about that. Um, Catherine, if you're listening, you got to quit supporting this man that is bringing a young vulnerable girl, calling her his fiance and making it available for him to be able to pick these girls up. Is this the first one? What happens to these girls? We want to know.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the money coming from? There's some explaining to do. This is a picture of the car that they left in. LaShonda Defender is 23. She's Cheyenne River Sioux Nation. 5 feet 5 inches, brown eyes, brown hair. She wears glasses. Hello Kitty tattoo on her left shoulder. She was last seen February 27th, 2026 in Pierre, South Dakota. If you have seen LaShonda or have any information on her whereabouts, contact Pierre, South Dakota Police Department, Chief Cummings at 605-773-7410, Dubuque, Iowa Police Department, Officer Lois, 563-599-0597, Bureau of Indian Affairs, Savannah Peterson, 505-221-0974, South Dakota Network Against Family Violence and Sexual Assault, Tanya Grassel, 605-280-6956. Contact any of these people. If you don't want to reach out to them, I have a tip line. It's Phallus put it in the feed here, and it's also down in our description in our link tree. Tips, the number 4, trialjunkiesunited@gmail.com. We will get the tips to her family. Please, this is the man, the 37-year-old adult man who has separated her from her family. We want to give them some peace. We want the family to have some peace. We want her safe. And quickly, we're going to go over a couple of other missing persons posters because we always do. Remember, watch the faces. Don't always be on your cell phone when you're out and about. You can save a life. We know some people do leave voluntarily. LaShonda left voluntarily, but we know sometimes they get in a situation that they can't come home. We know trafficking happens. We know missing persons cases happen everywhere and every day. And sometimes these victims go unnoticed. So please, if you see something, trust your instincts. If something just doesn't feel right, call 911. You can save somebody's family member. Okay? It's life or death. This is Brooke Chi Miller. You guys, she is 16 years old. She has been missing since April 15th of 2026 from Laveen, Arizona. She has brown eyes, brown hair. Contact Phoenix Police Department at 602-262-6151 or NCMEC at 1-800-843-5678. That's a 24-hour line. The NCIC number is M as in Michael, O as in Oscar, 58906-158. Or the NCMEC number is 208-4582. Our next young lady, Emma Belt Hansen. Emma is only 17. She's been missing since April 11th from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. She has brown eyes, brown hair. She's 5'3" and 120 pounds. She was last seen wearing a Nike neck top and black sweatpants. Contact Sioux Falls Police Department at 605-367-7000. We have Lene Jean Russet. She is 15. April 13th of 2026. She was last seen in St. Cloud, Minnesota. We don't have any other description of this young girl. She is just a young'un. She's from Minneapolis, and the Minneapolis Police Department is 612-348-2345, or call NCMEC. The number is a 24-hour hotline, 1-800-843-5678. Her case number is 208-4673. Our last young lady is Laura Browning. She's 16. She's been missing since February 6th from the Rosebud South Dakota. She has brown eyes, brown hair, 5'6", and weighs 160 pounds. Last seen wearing a black stocking cap, a red hoodie, a white shirt, and gray jeans with white Nike Air Force One shoes. Contact the Rosebud Sioux Tribal Police at 605-856-2282. Please, if anybody has seen these girls or LaShonda, contact 911, email me. We just want her safe and sound. Her family is not giving up on her. We are not asking you to approach because we know this man has weapons,
Mhm.
but call the authorities. Chantelle.
Somebody on the Facebook feed in the
Mhm.
chat made the comment, want to know if this guy is working at the prison in Pierre. Did he at
No.
one time? No,
Well, no, he tried,
he
but
tried.
he didn't
Okay,
finish.
okay,
Yeah. No.
yeah,
And that is a concern because he did go even Yvette said he actually he got an award at some graduation thing, but
okay.
he didn't get the
Because
job.
somebody said that her husband works. Um, he knows a lot of people from there, and they could identify. I
Ask him if they can get a picture for us in his
And
uniform. That could be
maybe
helpful.
Lewis, Washington.
Yeah, find out if they know a Lewis Washington and if they can get a picture and a phone number of him. We would love that.
okay.
That would be very helpful.
He's black as well, and one of the only few black guys. But his last day at the prison officially, I believe, was April 3rd or 2nd. One of
Yeah,
those days.
because that was another thing, you guys, I forgot to mention is not too long after um, John Smith took LaShonda out of the state, Lewis Washington packed up and left. His friend that vouched for him, that was the prison guard. So that's a little, yeah. Chantelle, anything else you want to say right now before we end tonight?
Just, I guess, essentially that we're not going to stop looking for LaShonda and just trying to at least have her reach out, to, at least, if you don't feel comfortable or if she doesn't feel comfortable, reaching out to family, she can always reach out to your email
Yep.
or, anybody that she can think of. And they can at least let us know through them that
Yeah.
but obviously a way to verify that it's her. I mean, there's just
Yeah.
certain ways to go about this. We're not
Yeah.
just gonna phone call like an unknown number, like, hey, this is LaShonda, I'm fine. Please stop,
Yeah.
like search for me, whatever. Like, that's not gonna cut it. I'm just gonna say that now,
Right.
and we just want a relationship with LaShonda. I mean, I just don't know why or how someone that could claim to really love you, and be so godly, so like, whatever, behave this way, make her attitude change negatively and plummet
Yeah.
downward,
Yeah.
and we were already concerned for her mental health, not putting it out there like that, not trying to, but just wanted to make an awareness around it that
Right.
there's just already concerns around that. And we know LaShonda best, not some random guy that came up that has 5 wives, changed his legal name, just red flags all around, moves and skips states, less than a year
Right.
of LaShonda. And after being in Pierre homeless for so long, why didn't you just move out of Pierre before,
Yeah.
And I just want you to know, LaShonda, if you're listening, that it's just nobody's like being judgmental or anything. It's genuine, real concerns, genuine, real red flags, not normal
Right.
behavior at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would anybody why would she be with someone that wants to take her away from her family? I mean, that's
Yeah.
Right. And would
yeah.
be
Please,
supportive.
please explain that to us. I can't fathom that.
Right, exactly. Me neither. Me neither,
Yeah.
actually. And I mean, we would be very supportive of her marrying somebody. Like, she met someone, she loves them. But like I said, this is just not normal. Red flags. And a welfare check wasn't done on her. So it's not like we can say, even when she was recently spotted again since February 27th, that she wasn't covered in bruises or that she was covered in like a turtleneck or a hoodie and like, covering her body. Or if she physically
Right.
changed her appearance in any way already. Like we just don't know. And I think it's weird, first of all, that like I said, the Dubuque police department wouldn't conduct a general welfare check and that wouldn't be communicated in some way when that was put out, and
Right.
all these concerns and red flags, the whole missing person report, like why would you just not, can we look at your arms and legs, etc. I just, lack of following policy and procedures there, I think, is ridiculous. Lack of professionalism along those lines with the Dubuque Police Department and Pierre Police Department. I just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it'll be remembered, and small stuff like that happens in so
Yeah.
many different cases. And like I said, it's just a failure of the system, essentially.
Well, you're right. And this is a system that we've watched fail over and over for our Native girls and women. So this is not new, but we're tired of it.
Yeah.
We're sick and tired of it. And we're not going to be quiet about it. We're going to keep voicing that everybody deserves fair treatment. And
Right.
you ask yourself, if this was one of the police officers' daughters, would you guys be this, mellow about her disappearing with some guy? Or would you have hunted him down? I'm just asking. Just a
Right.
question.
And like they all have the same answer no matter who you ask from what state. Like, yeah, I understand. Like, I would want to look for my daughter, but my hands are tied. Like,
Yeah.
I want to say, like, honestly, from just my experience speaking with multiple officers with this whole situation, with professionalism, and as far as like, I just feel like basically just being a decent human, like Officer Cummings has been Captain Cummings has been like really helpful, I want to say, and just had put more hope in me as far as that whole department goes, and how they
Right.
handled it at the beginning, and lack of concern, lack of action, especially because my foster mom actually tried to previously file a missing person report for her February 23rd, and they told her essentially just not to go back to the apartment when she tried to see if LaShonda was okay, and that she would be arrested if she went back to the apartment. This little old lady that's like, I don't know, 5'2", I want to say, like so
Yeah.
tiny, might even be 5 foot. And it's just ridiculous, like just the way that things
Exactly.
are handled, especially during domestic disputes and all that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But all of them. But what I've seen, experienced, heard, multiple people firsthand, me, like I have said, it's just, like I said, not good.
Yeah. So, LaShonda, if you're listening to us, please get a hold of the family or get a hold of me. Walk into a police station. Let us help you. Your family wants you to find someone that will actually care for you and not put you in this kind of a position where he's already married and changing names because something's not kosher. You've given up your anime. You're not on social media. Things aren't right. Things aren't right. That's why there were times you got away.
Yeah.
So, please, honey, we don't want you on the missing persons posters anymore. We want you found. So please, everybody, remember, keep your eyes open, spread this as far as you can, because yeah, Laura, she deserves better. She deserves better.
100%.
And so I want everyone to remember that, you know, we're going to keep looking. We're not giving up. And this family, she matters. She's loved. And there's too many other girls out there. And we're going to keep looking for you all. And that's why we have our platform. If you have someone that is a victim or a family and they need to tell their story, please contact us at our email, trialjunkiesunited@gmail.com. Remember, every killer, every predator depends on your silence. Please don't give it to them. And remember, it wasn't a mannequin. It never is, you guys. If you know something, if you've seen something, you need to speak up. Tonight on Trial Junkies United presents Justice After Dark, we told a story that matters about one of our sisters who deserves to be searched for and brought home. Everyone matters, and we have to find our humanity for each other, because if we won't, who is going to find our humanity? And our motto here has always been, silence is betrayal. So if you know something and you aren't saying something, you're betraying everybody. So we love you guys. We appreciate you being here. Every Thursday, we handle and dedicate our stories to missing and murdered Indigenous persons. Sundays, we do cold cases, crimes against children, trafficking, DOE cases, or any story that needs a voice. Until next time, you guys stay informed, stay compassionate, keep seeking truth, and keep demanding justice. Never stop speaking up. Say goodnight, Doc.
Good night, Doc.
We want to thank our wonderful mods that were here to make this a safe place for us to tell our stories and to be heard. We want to thank Chantelle for all that she's done for her sister, and we're here to support you. Trust me, anytime you need to call and chat with me, I'm here. Laura, thank you for working with us on this. We love you all, and we want you to remember, criminals never stop. Neither do we. So until next time, you keep fighting for justice, people. And we're going to see you on TJU Presents Justice After Dark. Thanks. Ciao, everybody. Listen to the song we wrote. We love ya.
She had a name before she disappeared, a family who has loved her all these years. She's somebody's mother, somebody's little girl. She carries someone's whole heart in this world. The phone rings out, no one answers back. Another native name gets lost inside the cracks, because she's not from the suburbs, not from their streets. They look away, but we won't stop. You think no one is looking, you think she's been forgotten, you think the silence speaks for her, but you are wrong. She's not forgotten. She is a mother, a sister, a daughter, love deeper than you'll ever know. If you think no one's looking, you are wrong. We are watching, we are searching, we won't stop. Native women are not yours to take. Every missing name is a vow we make. We will be their voice until they are found. Our women matter, and we will not back down. Her grandmother is calling out her name. Her sisters are searching, the brothers won't quit. Her cousins keep pushing, they refuse to submit. They're knocking on every door that won't open wide. Turn away again, but they go back inside. They don't fit the headline, they don't fit the mold, but there are people who love her, and that needs to be told. She is loved and she is missed every single day, and every single person here refuses to walk away. You think silence is your cover?